You should be able to buy an electric car. You should buy a gas-fired car. You should buy a hybrid. You should buy whatever the hell you want. I mean, some people like electric. If you want to drive for 14 minutes to the candy store, electric is very good. But if you actually want to get into a car and drive for a few hours, you know, they're doing a couple of other ones with electric. They're going electric crazy. It doesn't work. They want all electric army tanks now. Think of this. So they want to have an army tank that's electric. You can't get it recharged. It doesn't go far enough. It doesn't go strong enough. But they want to have electric. So that we go into enemy territory. We will blast the shit out of everybody. But at least we will go in with environmentally nice equipment.
Okay, so for the last couple of years, gas prices have been at an all-time high. Even though it's gone down some, it's still almost $4 a gallon nationally, and in some states like California, $5 a gallon for a tank of gas. In addition to this, these woke freaks who are out here screeching about the sun monster have pushed for gasoline bans in several states. It started with California, but now 9 states have passed legislation signed by their governors to ban the use of gasoline cars, well, the sale of gasoline cars in their states by 2030, 2035 in some cases, which is a form of economic suicide for those states. But I already predict that by the time the year rolls around where gas vehicle sales are supposed to be banned, they're going to roll it back anyways, because they're virtue signaling and they know that they don't have the infrastructure to sustain it. But what's happened is, with these people screeching about the sun monster and the environment, combined with the cost of gas, the sale of electric vehicles has skyrocketed, especially since they start producing all these lower end electric vehicles like the Tesla 3, and you have some Nissans and Hyundais and all of that. You can get them for much cheaper than traditional electric vehicles. But we're going to talk about the perils of this whole thing. We're going to talk about some of the problems, particularly the battery issues, the hidden costs behind electric vehicles. First, let's look at this clip.
First, with the pain at the pump, more people than ever are interested in electric cars.
But if you're thinking about going electric, pay attention to this story. 10 Tampa Bay's Malik Rankin has the warning from one family who's now facing some expensive decisions.
I was really excited.
17-year-old Avery Sawinski was thrilled to get an electric 2014 Ford Focus.
And it was fine at first. I loved it so much. It was like small and quiet. And just
the car had 60,000 miles on it.
All of a sudden, it just stopped working.
Avery says she had it for 6 months before the battery died.
I know that the Ford stopped making the car, but it just is frustrating that they stopped making the battery too. So it left like hundreds of people without a car to use.
Last month, Avery's dad died following a stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis. Her grandfather, Ray Sawinski, stepped up trying to get an electric car battery replacement.
It turns out that this is a pretty common problem with this particular car.
The family bought the used car for $11,000 on Carvana.
The Ford dealership advised us that we could replace the battery. It would only cost $14,000.
And that doesn't include installation costs.
So if you're wondering where that car is now, it's been here at AutoNation for months. Ray Sawinski tells me they've offered to buy the car from him, only offering $500.
Sawinski says he's learned it's not just Ford Focus owners dealing with costly electric car battery replacements.
If you're buying a new one, you have to realize there is no secondhand market out there because the manufacturers aren't supporting the cars.
The Sawinski's message to you: do your research before buying electric. They warn it may cost you far more than you realize. Malik Rankin, 10 Tampa Bay.
They're just one of many people. So these people thought that they had a deal. They're like, okay, we're going to get our daughter this lower end, this cheaper EV vehicle. She's going to look like she cares about the planet, and she's not going to have to worry about gas costs. Did y'all know about the battery costs? Did they tell you beforehand that the cost of the battery is more than the value of the damn vehicle? No, they didn't tell y'all that. Of course they didn't. And they also didn't tell y'all that the electricity that you charge your car with comes from fossil fuels anyway. It comes from natural gas and coal. So either way, if you're using an electric vehicle, it's not doing anything for the environment. But these are the same people who stopped the production of natural gas. They want to stop drilling in the United States to save the planet. But at the same time, they push for Venezuela and Saudi Arabia to produce more gas to make up for the lack of production in the United States. So overall, the planet is still producing the same amount of gas, but it's all virtue signaling. But we're going to look at our main topic here. We're going to look at this guy in Ontario who was shocked when he found out how much it would cost to replace the battery in this car. And spoiler alert, it's not even a fancy car. It's not a Porsche, it's not a Benz, anything like that. Just a regular Hyundai. Electric car shock. Ontario man told new battery will cost more than $50,000. So if you look at this picture here, nothing special. It's just a regular looking car. And it's a Hyundai. We're talking about 50 grand. Anyway, let's get into the story. Simrat Such, interesting name, of Stony Creek, Ontario, was a true believer in electric vehicles. The first one I had was very reliable, said Such, so he didn't hesitate to trade up. He bought a 2017 Ioniq made by Hyundai. Such was its second owner. The vehicle had already been driven 69,000 kilometers, but the warranty covering electric charging system and battery was good for 160,000 kilometers. Such told Global News he was confident in the purchase. I figured I wouldn't have any issues with it, he said. But in October, a warning light appeared on this instrument panel. Uh-oh. He took the car to the dealer, but technicians couldn't find the problem. The light went out. So how the hell you go to the dealer and they don't even know what they're doing? Because this technology, they're constantly changing, thing is all new. And a lot of these technicians at these dealerships, they're not used to dealing with these electric vehicles. They're used to the traditional type vehicle. So you push millions of these vehicles onto the road. And another problem is there's only so many places where you can even go get it maintenance, because most of the technicians, even at the dealerships, don't even know how to deal with these type of vehicles. Another problem. 2 weeks later, Such said the vehicle stopped charging and the Ioniq was back at the dealership. After diagnostic check, he said technicians determined the battery needed to be replaced. Uh-oh. Did you think about this beforehand when you bought this vehicle a couple of years ago? The quoted cost, including the battery installation and taxes, came to more than $50,000. I was just floored. Can you imagine that? You buy this used Hyundai. A couple of years later, they say, oh, your battery is busted. We know you were driving around in an EV vehicle. We know that you cared about the environment and you didn't want to pay $4 or $5 a gallon for gas. But all of that is going to cost you 50 grand. Bottom line is, you would have been better off buying a gas-powered vehicle, paying $4 or $5 a gallon for gas, because now you got to pony up 50 G's. And the story is going to get worse. The battery failure happened at 172-ish kilometers. The 160-kilometer warranty had just run out. Isn't that convenient? This is like some Apple level crap, how they do their batteries over time. The power of the battery diminishes, so you'll get a brand new iPhone. The battery's good. And just in time for the next generation or 2 generations later, where they know they're going to sucker you to buy another iPhone, they say, oh, your battery's out. We can't do anything about it, but we have brand new iPhones. Just when this man's warranty ran out, it's like it was right on schedule. They said, you know what, we'll give you about 10K more kilometers after your warranty expires. Then we're going to program it for the battery just give out. So we don't have to pay the cost of the new battery, and we know that you're not going to pay the cost of it. You're just going to end up buying another car from us. It seems like that was all planned. I felt like I got kicked in a private. Such said in an interview. He said he had 2 choices: pay to repair the vehicle or scrap it. Such chose the latter because the cost of repairs exceeded the value of the vehicle. This man scrapped the car. He ended up getting suckered and selling it for $1,000. He had to pay the dealership $500 to even diagnose it, and then I guess he netted $500 overall. You go in there with your fancy Hyundai Ioniq, your EV vehicle, I'm saving the planet. Yeah, 50 grand to repair it, or we'll just give you a check for $500, right? Wow. He had approached Hyundai Canada hoping it would pay for all or part of the repairs, even though the warranty had run out. He said he was directed by the dealership and had given up. Hyundai Canada, like, look, man, you bought this car. This car is already paid for. We've already made our money on it. This ain't got nothing to do with us. Global News, getting the media involved. Now it's become a PR issue. Global News contacted Hyundai and gave the Korean-based automaker several days to investigate such a case. Jennifer McCarthy, Hyundai Canada's National Manager of Public Relations, said that comprehensive diagnostic tests were not completed on the vehicle. I thought the dealership took care of that. And the vehicle was scrapped by the customer before these diagnostic procedures could be completed, precluding a definitive assessment of the required service. So the Hyundai automaker in Canada, they're saying that the dealership didn't know what it was doing, that they needed to check it themselves. But too bad, so sad, because the guy already scrapped the vehicle for $500. She said the estimate provided to Such was not representative of the likely actual cost in this case. So you telling me you buy an electric vehicle from Hyundai, you take it to a dealership for maintenance, and then the manufacturers come out and say, yeah, the dealership who was doing maintenance on the vehicle didn't know what the hell they were doing? What? This doesn't even make sense. Are you trying to say that people aren't adequately trained to deal with these vehicles? But when the man contacted you guys directly for help, y'all sent them back to the dealership. So whose fault is that? McCarthy said the case should have been escalated immediately for additional review. He did contact you. We sincerely apologize to Mr. Such for these lapses in communication and service, she said. So now Hyundai is just lying because the media is involved. They don't want to look bad. They want to sell more of these vehicles. They want to say, look, we would have took care of Mr. Such, but some bad things happened. But the rest of you suckers, the rest of you nice customers, don't let that deter you from buying a Hyundai Ioniq. McCarthy told Global News that the company is prepared to resolve this issue by paying fair market value for its vehicle, either in cash or towards a new Hyundai, as part of our commitment to our customers. So basically, they're trying to save face because this happens to a lot more people. This guy was just fortunate to get the news involved, somewhat fortunate, because he still got suckered and lost a lot of money. While automakers worldwide are gearing up to sell millions of new all-electric vehicles in years ahead, many customers are sticking with conventional and hybrid. You got to be careful with those hybrids too, because they're also expensive. The batteries in those are also expensive because of concerns about high costs of repairs when batteries fail. So let's look at this other article over here, talking about some other people who got suckered. So we got a lady here. She had a 2018 Kia Soul all-electric. Battery went out. Right when the warranty expired, battery went out, 23 G's to replace the battery. Then we got a guy, he had an old Lincoln 2011 Lincoln MKZ. It was a hybrid. You got to be careful with these hybrids. Battery failed, 20 G's. That's with the labor, the taxes, everything involved, 20 G's to replace the battery of a vehicle that's well over 10 years old. Insanity. So the lady with the Kia Soul, she ended up, because she was still paying a car note on it, she financed the car. She ended up letting it get repoed. She's like, I ain't got 23 G's. I can't do anything with this. I'm still paying a note on it. I'm just going to voluntarily surrender it. So she ended up with a massive red flag on her credit report, a repossession, because she didn't have 23 G's to replace the battery in a car that's only 5 years old. And the other guy with the Lincoln, $20,000 to replace the battery in his Lincoln, he just scrapped it. And he got $500. He scrapped the thing, got $500 for it. So there's so many cases out here. You got to be really careful with these electric vehicles because so many people are getting suckered. And on top of that, these electric vehicles, they charge you more for range. Can you imagine your gas vehicle? Let's say you drive around in a Ford and the dealership said, okay, we'll sell you this type of Ford. You'll get 200 miles if you fill up the tank. But if you want to get 300 miles, you want a bigger gas tank, we're going to charge you an extra $10,000. It doesn't happen. You can buy a old beater from a used car lot, or you can buy a Benz, a BMW or something. And it doesn't matter. You can still get from point A to point B without having to worry about your battery dying, without having to worry about running out of gas, because gas stations are readily available. The infrastructure is there. But you riding around, especially you want to drive 100 plus miles, 200 miles, you're in one of your Teslas. If you pay 50 G's for this electric vehicle, you might not make it. But if you want to drive somewhere from like DC to Baltimore, you got to be careful in electric vehicles, especially if you get caught up in traffic. You want to drive from LA to Vegas, you might get caught up in traffic to the point where you run out of battery before you make it there, especially if it's in the summertime, because now you got to run an AC. So it's crazy. You're spending all this money in order to go a longer range, because these charging stations are not readily available. In order to go a longer range, you got to pay thousands of dollars more. And it's still not a guarantee, because they'll say, okay, you can get this brand new electric vehicle and you paid a high cost for it. So you paid 80 G's for some Tesla, and they're saying, oh, you can get 280 miles, you can get 350 miles on it. If it's brand new and if conditions are perfect, you don't run an AC, radio, anything. But 2-3 years later, the battery starts diminishing. So you were getting 300 some miles on it, now you're only getting 200 miles on it. The car's 5 years old, you're only getting 150 miles on it in perfect road conditions. So they're suckering you everywhere it goes. And on top of that, most people, either you rent or you stay in an apartment somewhere, you rent a house, most people can't put infrastructure in, but because some of these cars, you have to install charging ports and stuff into the home in order to charge it at your house. If you're in an apartment, you definitely can't do it. So you have to go to one of these charging stations miles away from you. It takes 45 minutes, hour just to recharge. And then what if you have a line of people? You have to wait on 2 or 3 people. You can be there for a couple of hours just trying to recharge a damn battery, when you can just get a gas vehicle 5 minutes. So the point is, the technology isn't there. We don't have the technology to rapidly charge these things. You got the supercharge stations. They're very rare and they're very expensive, but they still take a while. You can get in your gas guzzling F-250 and you can refill that thing from E all the way up in 5 minutes. But they're trying to discourage people to buy this. They see a lot more money in selling these EV vehicles, especially the fact they know that the average person can't afford a new battery when these things go out. So they're just going to sucker you into buying a new car prematurely. You buying a new car after 5 years when you could have had a car for 10 to 15 years. But then you have this new company called VinFast. They got a new strategy which probably catch fire depending on how the money looks. What they're doing is they're selling cars, electric cars, without the battery. So you buy the car from them without a battery, then you lease the battery. You pay a monthly subscription fee forever for their battery. That way, if the battery goes out, you can just get another one. But you will be paying indefinitely. I don't even know what the cost of it is, but you would never own a car. So it's kind of early. 2023 technology, we are not there. The grid can't sustain it. We don't have the infrastructure built. The batteries are not good enough, but people are being sucked into it. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts down below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.